Every Tuesday at 6:47 a.m. sharp, HOA Karen Brenda, pink bathrobe flapping like a deranged flamingo, waddled across the street and punted my trash can like an NFL field goal. Clang, aluminum hits asphalt. Coffee grounds explode. That acrid stink of garbage mixed with morning dew fills the air. My perfectly legal bins, now a crime scene. She'd stand there, grinning through my kitchen window. Smug little finger wave, then, click, check her Rolex. Weekly tyranny, time to perfection. Mission accomplished, she'd waddle back to her McMansion like she just won the Super Bowl. What would you do if your neighbor made trash day her personal sport? Drop your revenge plan below. Mine left her soaked in mystery sludge, screaming bloody murder and begging the HOA for mercy. Where are you watching from? This petty justice ride gets brutal. Let me back up and paint the full picture. Marcus Hawthorne, 52, recently retired postal worker. 20 years delivering mail through hell and high water. 20 years before that on Navy submarines. Yeah, I've got control issues. Sue me. Moved to Willowbrook Gardens 8 months ago after my wife Sarah lost her cancer fight. Our Detroit house felt like a tomb, so I bought this little ranch in suburbia. Quiet neighborhood, mature trees, reasonable $85 HOA fees. Paradise, right? Wrong. Willowbrook Gardens, 147 homes built in the 90s, streets named Serenity Lane and Peaceful Court. Because nothing says peace like mandatory landscaping requirements. Mix of retirees, young families, and suckers like me seeking tranquility. Then there's the final boss, Brenda Culverson. Picture your worst bank manager having a bad hair day, every day. 58 years old, lives in the neighborhood's biggest house. Some colonial wannabe with more pillars than a Greek temple. Drives a white Lexus SUV with vanity plate HOA 1 because subtlety died before she was born. 6 years as HOA president, ruling like Mussolini in a pantsuit. You smell her coming 3 blocks away. Cheap perfume mixed with pure entitlement. Makes your eyes water and your soul shrivel. Our first dance happened on a Sunday evening. I placed my regulation black trash can exactly per HOA guidelines. No more than 3 feet from street, placed after 6 p.m. evening before collection. Military precision, measured twice. Tuesday morning, 6:47 a.m. sharp. Crash. I'm at my kitchen sink, first coffee sip hitting my bloodstream, when pink robe Godzilla punts my can into next week. The metallic explosion mixed with approaching garbage truck diesel created this beautiful symphony of suburban warfare. Coffee grounds scattered like shrapnel across wet asphalt. That acrid smell of spilled grounds and diesel exhaust burned my nostrils. My coffee mug handle felt rough against my tightening grip. I stormed outside in bathrobe and slippers, ready for diplomacy. "Why'd you kick my trash can?" Brenda spun around with a smile that could curdle milk. "Can was 2 inches past property line, sweetie. Rules are rules." She said sweetie, like it was a 4-letter word. I whipped out my measuring tape. Don't judge, it's a postal thing, and proved the can was perfectly legal. Her response? That laugh? Nails on chalkboard had nothing on Brenda's cackle. "Rules are rules, sailor boy. Maybe pay attention next time, sailor boy." Like 20 years defending this country was some embarrassing hobby. Here's where things got educational. Mrs. Aria whispered over our shared fence. "She's terrorizing my garden gnomes, says they're aesthetically inconsistent." The Johnsons across the street? $50 fine because their kids drew hopscotch with sidewalk chalk. But Brenda's golf crew? Their garbage could be performing Swan Lake in the street, and she'd call it interpretive recycling. Week 2, another assault, another bogus citation for improper lid closure. Week 3, $50 fine notice in my mailbox like a ransom demand written in legalese. Time for some light reading. I pulled the HOA bylaws, 47 pages of bureaucratic torture. Result? 0 violations mentioned. Not one word about lid closure or NASA-level placement precision. The woman was making it up as she went along. See, here's what civilians don't understand about military training. We're taught to identify threats, assess capabilities, and neutralize problems. Brenda just declared war on the wrong veteran. I started documenting everything. Photos, timestamps, measurements. Built a case file that would make prosecutors weep with joy. Because if there's one thing 20 years of Postal Service teaches you, it's that paper trails are permanent, and bureaucrats hate being out-bureaucrated. Game on, Brenda. You just picked a fight with someone who sorts mail for fun and considers organization a contact sport? Brenda's next move came faster than a tax audit. Thursday morning, there's an official HOA violation notice slapped on my front door like a medieval plague warning. Notice of violation, unsightly refuse container placement, $75 fine, 48 hours to pay, or they'd slap a lien on my property. I read that bureaucratic masterpiece 3 times, each pass spiking my blood pressure higher. The violation cited Section 4, 7.3, Aesthetic Standards for Waste Management. One tiny problem. I'd memorized those bylaws cover to cover during my insomniac nights. Section 4. 7.3 didn't exist. Princess Brenda had literally invented her own law. But wait, there's more. She threatened to put a lien on my house. Over a trash can. That was perfectly legal. The woman had officially declared nuclear war over garbage. Time to play detective. I grabbed my camera and took a scenic photography tour of Willowbrook Gardens. 23 houses had trash cans in identical or worse positions than mine. Some practically saluting the street, others with lids hanging open like broken jaws. One genius on Peaceful Court had his can doing interpretive dance across his entire driveway. But here's the beautiful irony. Every single homeowner was either Brenda's golf buddy, book club sister, or had their lips permanently attached to her royal behind. 0 violation notices. Not one. Now, back in my Navy days, we had a term for this kind of selective rule enforcement. It was called discrimination, and it violated about 6 federal laws. Turns out HOAs have to apply rules uniformly, or they can get sued into bankruptcy. Who knew? I documented everything like I was building a murder case. 23 photos, GPS coordinates, timestamps that would make NASA jealous. Then I marched over to Castle Culverson at exactly 3 p.m., prime dictator tea time. She answered wearing a floral muumuu that looked like someone detonated a botanical garden. The nauseating cocktail of vanilla candles and her signature perfume assault hit me like chemical warfare. Oh, Marcus, how unexpected. We need to discuss this violation notice, Brenda. What's to discuss? You violated community standards. I whipped out my photo evidence like a prosecutor at closing arguments. Funny thing, half the neighborhood has identical setups. Where are their fines? Her smile malfunctioned like a broken robot. Those residents demonstrate proper community spirit. Perhaps if you participated more in HOA activities. So rules only apply to people you don't golf with? Rules apply to everyone, Marcus. Some people just understand community harmony better. Translation: kiss the ring or face the guillotine. But our little Napoleon wasn't finished. Friday brought an emergency board meeting. Emergency, over refuse containers. The woman had achieved escape velocity from reality. The meeting featured Brenda's puppet cabinet, Harold Wimple, retired accountant who'd audited his own mother's birthday party, and Susan Fletcher, personality of frozen fish sticks. They unanimously approved all previous fines and implemented enhanced enforcement protocols. Enhanced enforcement for garbage cans. I couldn't make this up. I requested meeting minutes. Standard procedure, right? Guess what came back? Nothing. No vote records, no documentation, no official anything. These clowns were running a shadow government with all the legitimacy of a lemonade stand. But here's where submarine training kicks in. When outgunned, gather intelligence and build alliances. I started casual evening walks, chatting with neighbors. Mrs. Aria materialized beside her roses, the sweet scent of blooms mixing with her whispered confession. She fined me for wind chimes being acoustically disruptive. Gentle chimes apparently threatened suburban peace. Frank Kowalski flagged me down near his pristine work truck. Diesel exhaust and fresh-cut grass filled the air as he revealed, $300 fine for parking in my own driveway. Called it commercially inappropriate. His truck was cleaner than most people's kitchens. Sarah Martinez caught me at the mailboxes, her teacher instincts kicking in. Violation notices for my students' sidewalk chalk art. Unauthorized property modification, she called it. Kids drawing flowers had become architectural terrorism. Every conversation revealed the same sick pattern. Brenda's inner circle got diplomatic immunity while everyone else faced her twisted justice system. But Princess Pink Robe wasn't done escalating. Tuesday morning, 6:47 a.m. sharp, crash. This time she brought props, measuring tape and phone camera, documenting my continued violations like she was gathering evidence for war crimes trials. The metallic explosion echoed through morning air, mixing with garbage truck rumbles and the sound of my last nerve snapping into pieces. I stood at my kitchen window, watching her waddle back to her fortress, and smiled for the first time in weeks. Because Brenda had just made a critical tactical error. She'd escalated against someone who spent 2 decades in submarines, learning that the best revenge is patient, methodical, and absolutely devastating. Game on, Your Majesty. Let's see how you handle someone who actually knows how to fight dirty. Monday morning brought Christmas in July. Brenda had installed a security camera aimed at my property like I was El Chapo, instead of a guy trying to throw away banana peels in peace. This wasn't some rinky-dink Ring doorbell. This was professional-grade surveillance equipment that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. Perched on her garage like a mechanical vulture, its black lens tracked my every movement with the dedication of a psychotic ex-girlfriend. I discovered Big Sister's watching during my sacred morning coffee ritual, shuffled outside in my bathrobe to grab the newspaper, and bam, electronic eye boring into my soul. The lens caught sunrise like some dystopian Christmas ornament designed by paranoid elves. Brenda materialized around 8 a.m., watering her prize roses with the smugness of someone who just invented electricity. "Morning, Marcus. Beautiful day for enhanced community monitoring." "That thing legal, Brenda?" "Absolutely. Board-approved security upgrade for neighborhood safety." Her fake smile could have powered a small nuclear reactor. Now here's something I learned during my postal service days. Even wannabe dictators have to follow real laws. Lunch break research revealed County Surveillance Code Section April 7th, 12. Cameras cannot record neighboring properties without written consent. Brenda's spy equipment had about as much legal standing as a unicorn in traffic court. One phone call to county zoning, and I had a complaint filed faster than Brenda could say community standards. Sometimes bureaucracy works for us little people. But Princess Surveillance was just warming up. She escalated to full psychological warfare, daily violation emails to every homeowner featuring my trash cans glamour shots from 17 angles. Every morning at 7:15 a.m. sharp, ping. Community standards alert, subject 1247 Oak Street, landed in everyone's inbox like intelligence briefings from an alternate reality where garbage containers threatened national security. The photos included timestamps, measurements, and color commentary that would make ESPN jealous. Mrs. Aria caught me at the mailbox Wednesday, jasmine scent mixing with approaching storm clouds. "Those horrible emails come every day," she whispered. "My daughter says unsubscribe, but I'm scared she'll find me for community disengagement." That's when the beautiful plot twist hit. 3 neighbors approached me separately, each carrying horror stories and something I hadn't expected: ammunition. Thursday night, knock, knock. Dr. Rebecca Winters, 65, silver hair, manila folder thick as a phone book, retired attorney with courtroom precision and zero tolerance for bullshit. "I've been documenting Brenda's reign of terror for 2 years. Thought you could use some legal firepower." The folder was pure gold. Photographs, email chains, financial irregularities that would make forensic accountants weep tears of joy. Doctor Winters had been building a prosecution case since 2022, waiting for the right moment to detonate her evidence bomb. Friday brought Frank Kowalski, work boots carrying honest construction site smells and blue-collar wisdom. $500 for parking my truck in my own driveway overnight. Residential character violation, she called it. His calloused hands held photos of contractor vehicles throughout the neighborhood, all belonging to companies that serviced Brenda's inner circle. Saturday sealed the deal. Sarah Martinez, elementary teacher with nuclear-grade mama bear energy and her own evidence folder. She's systematically targeting everyone outside her golf club cult. Families with kids, single homeowners, anyone who won't genuflect at her royal court. The pattern was beautiful in its evil simplicity. Brenda had weaponized bureaucracy against anyone who threatened her suburban monarchy. But she'd made one fatal error, declared war on people who actually knew how to fight. Sunday brought her masterstroke, emergency property inspection, while I was buying groceries. Returned home to find a violation notice citing critical structural deficiencies requiring immediate $500 assessment. The violations? A mailbox post with minor fade and garage trim needing touch-up paint. Maintenance issues so microscopic they'd require satellite imagery to detect. But Brenda had officially declared jihad on my property value. That night, I scheduled a county building inspector visit. Sometimes the best defense is proving your opponent has achieved clinical insanity. But here's where Brenda's surveillance obsession backfired spectacularly. See, cameras work both ways, and I'd been documenting her daily trash can terrorism for weeks. Every 6:47 a.m. assault, every measured step of her ridiculous ritual, every smug finger wave, all captured in glorious high definition. My new allies brought their own surveillance arsenals: Dr. Winters' legal documentation, Frank's contractor network intel, Sarah's teacher-level organizational skills. We'd accidentally formed the suburban equivalent of the Avengers, except instead of fighting aliens, we were battling a deranged HOA president with delusions of grandeur. As Brenda's camera motor whirred outside my window like a mechanical stalker adjusting focus, I realized something beautiful. This woman had just handed me enough evidence to end her dictatorship permanently. The revolution was about to begin, and General Brenda had no idea her own weapons were pointed at her. Tuesday morning's surprise made Christmas look boring. A lien notice slapped on my door like a legal death sentence. Princess Pink Robe wasn't playing anymore. She was trying to steal my house. Notice of lien placement, screamed from letterhead that probably cost more than my grocery budget. Accumulated fines, $1,247. Administrative fees, $340. Processing charges, $156. Brenda had turned harassment into a profit center worthy of Wall Street sharks. The kicker? Forced sale within 30 days unless I paid her ransom. Forced sale. Over trash can placement. The woman's audacity could power a small city. My morning coffee curdled as I read this masterpiece of suburban terrorism. This wasn't about community standards. This was financial warfare designed to evict me from my own home for refusing to kiss her royal ring. Time to play hardball. Wednesday found me in the county courthouse basement, surrounded by musty legal documents and the dreams of bureaucrats long dead. Public records don't lie, and what I discovered made my day brighter than Christmas morning. Beautiful irony number one. Queen Brenda owed $3,400 in back property taxes dating to 2019. The woman threatening my house was basically a deadbeat landlord. Better yet, HOA bylaws required board members to be current on all obligations. Brenda had been serving illegally for 3 years. Sometimes karma works faster than Amazon delivery. But the real treasure came courtesy of Dr. Winter's legal wizardry. She'd requested HOA financial records, public documents Brenda couldn't legally refuse. What we found made Bernie Madoff look like an amateur. Vanished funds, $12,000 from community improvement accounts. The money had disappeared faster than Brenda's credibility, replaced by invoices from Culverson Consulting LLC. Spoiler alert, Brenda's husband owned that shell company. Textbook embezzlement, Dr. Winters announced over coffee in her pristine kitchen. Documents spread like evidence at a murder trial. The rich aroma of expensive coffee beans mixed with the sweet smell of impending justice. No competitive bidding, no board approval, no actual work performed. My postal service background proved golden for following money trails. 20 years handling financial documents teaches you to spot fraud from orbit. And this paper trail led straight to Brenda's family piggy bank. Culverson Consulting had billed for landscape enhancement, aesthetic improvements, and community beautification. The only problem? Nobody could identify any actual work. The flower beds looked identical, common areas unchanged, improvements purely imaginary. But our embezzling empress wasn't finished panicking. Thursday brought her desperate Hail Mary, emergency election to replace disruptive board members. 5 days notice for elections requiring 30 days by law. The woman was violating her own rules while accusing everyone else of misconduct. Desperation smelled like Brenda's cheap perfume mixed with flop sweat. Frank's contractor network delivered the smoking gun. Professional estimates for legitimate community improvements, $3,200 total. Brenda had funneled $12,000 to her husband for work worth maybe a quarter of that amount, if it existed at all. Sarah's teacher superpowers transformed our evidence into prosecution gold. Color-coded spreadsheets tracked every fraudulent payment, cross-referenced with actual community needs and legitimate contractor bids. Her visual aids would make federal prosecutors weep tears of gratitude. Friday's War Council convened in Dr. Winter's basement command center. Fresh printer toner mixed with determination as we planned Brenda's financial apocalypse. Whiteboards covered 3 walls, flowcharts mapping fraud with NASA-level precision. The beautiful justice? While Brenda threatened stealing my house over imaginary violations, she'd been systematically looting everyone's HOA dues for years. Every neighbor had unknowingly funded her family enrichment program. Community reaction was swift and nuclear. Word about missing money spread faster than gossip at a church potluck. 73 homeowners signed removal petitions within 48 hours. The local newspaper's investigative bloodhound started circling after anonymous tips about HOA corruption. Saturday brought the county attorney calling, expressing significant interest in criminal prosecution. Apparently using community funds for family profit qualified as honest-to-God felony theft. Sunday's cherry on top. Neighbors photographed Brenda shredding documents all week. Destruction of evidence during investigation added obstruction charges to her growing legal buffet. But here's what made me laugh until my sides hurt. This financial genius had been embezzling money while owing thousands in back taxes. She tried foreclosing on my house while being financially ineligible to serve on the board. As Sunday evening shadows fell across Willowbrook Gardens, I watched lights burning late in Castle Culverson. Princess Brenda was probably calculating how much prison food costs versus her current gourmet lifestyle. The woman had declared financial war on a veteran who'd spent decades tracking government money. She'd tried stealing my house while systematically robbing everyone else's wallets. But here's the beautiful part. Brenda had handed me enough evidence to end her reign permanently. Embezzlement, fraud, obstruction, illegal board service. I had enough ammunition to level her empire and salt the earth afterward. The revolution was coming, and General Brenda had accidentally armed the rebels with nuclear weapons. Checkmate, Your Majesty. Sunday night, Dr. Winters called with the breathless excitement of someone who'd just cracked the Da Vinci Code. "Marcus, drop everything! I found our atomic bomb." Her basement office at 9 p.m. felt like a secret bunker, legal documents scattered across her desk like intelligence reports from a covert operation. The musty smell of ancient paper mixed with her barely contained glee as she spread yellowed pages like a treasure map. "Original HOA Incorporation documents, 1994, she announced, adjusting reading glasses with surgical precision. "Article 47, Section C, read this beautiful piece of legal poetry." I squinted at lawyer speak that made hieroglyphics look user-friendly. Then my eyes hit the magic words buried in subsection E3. Proven fiduciary breach by board members triggers emergency dissolution protocols. My coffee mug hit the desk. "English translation, counselor?" Her grin could have powered Las Vegas. "We can nuke the entire HOA into radioactive dust, permanently. Brenda's embezzlement just armed us with a legal nuclear weapon." The magnitude hit me like a meteor strike. This wasn't about removing one tyrant. This was about vaporizing the entire power structure. No more HOA fees, no more suburban fascism, no more pink-robed dictators. Complete liberation from bureaucratic hell. Anyone ever use this doomsday clause? Never. Most lawyers bury these self-destruct mechanisms so deep nobody finds them. We just discovered the HOA's hidden off switch. But here's where my conscience kicked in like a sobering slap. Nuclear options don't discriminate. They obliterate everything. Mrs. Aria's beloved garden regulations, Frank's snow removal services, Sarah's kids' playground maintenance. Innocent neighbors would pay for Brenda's crimes. "Collateral damage?" I asked, feeling the moral weight settling like concrete in my chest. "County takes over basic services, or residents rebuild from scratch. But Marcus, this affects everyone, saints and sinners alike." I thought about my neighbors who'd done nothing wrong except trust a corrupt board. They deserve justice, not chaos. Mrs. Aria shouldn't lose her community standards because Brenda was a thief. Our evidence painted a devastating picture. $18,000 in stolen funds, nepotism contracts worth more than some people's cars, financial fraud that would make mob accountants blush. Brenda's family had turned HOA dues into their personal piggy bank, funding everything from landscaping scams to phantom consulting fees. The beautiful stupidity of it all. Payments to Brenda's husband's company, her sister's cleaning service, even her nephew's snow removal business. No competitive bidding, no board approval, no actual work performed, just pure, unfiltered corruption funded by neighbors' good faith payments. This nuclear option would end Brenda's dictatorship instantly. One vote, and 6 years of tyranny would become a smoking crater. No appeals, no comebacks, no redemption tours. But 20 years of military service taught me that bigger weapons aren't always better weapons. Sometimes precision strikes work better than carpet bombing. Sometimes you save the nukes for when conventional warfare fails. There's a smarter play, I decided, the strategy crystallizing like ice in my mind. Surgical removal of the tumor, but preserve the healthy tissue. Remove Brenda, add accountability safeguards, keep the community intact. Dr. Winters nodded like a professor whose student had just passed the final exam. The moral choice. But keep this dissolution clause locked and loaded. If our precision strike fails, we still have the nuclear option. I carefully folded those ancient documents, feeling their weight both literal and metaphorical. Somewhere in Castle Culverson, Brenda was probably counting stolen money, completely unaware that her beloved HOA charter contained the blueprints for its own destruction. But justice beats revenge every time. This community deserved better than tyranny, but it also deserved better than anarchy. The nuclear option would remain in my back pocket, ready, armed, and devastating, but unused unless Brenda forced my hand. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is the one you never fire. Monday morning, Dr. Winters' basement looked like a serial killer's conspiracy board. except instead of hunting murderers, we were planning the spectacular downfall of a suburban tyrant who'd declared war on garbage containers. "Welcome to the Resistance headquarters," Dr. Winters announced as Frank and Sarah arrived with coffee strong enough to wake the dead. The basement reeked of fresh Sharpie markers and brewing vengeance, whiteboards covering every surface like evidence from a beautiful obsession. Red files, violation terrorism. Blue files, financial fraud. Green files, witness testimonies. Our evidence mountain grew taller than Brenda's ego, each document another shovel of dirt for her political grave. "Emergency removal needs 74 out of 147 votes, Doctor," Winters explained, pointing at our battle chart with professorial precision. "Gross misconduct and fiduciary breach. Fortunately, our pink-robed dictator has provided enough evidence to convict a small country of war crimes." Frank's blue-collar wisdom proved golden for exposing construction fraud. $8,000 for tennis court resurfacing? He waved Brenda's husband's invoice like a surrender flag. "I drive past that court daily. Same cracked concrete from the Clinton administration. Maybe $50 worth of fresh paint lines." The criminal stupidity was breathtaking. Brenda had billed the HOA for phantom repairs, imaginary landscaping and consulting that apparently involved zero consultation. Her husband's company had become a money-washing operation disguised as lawn care. Sarah's teacher's superpowers transformed chaos into prosecutorial gold. Timeline charts showing fraud patterns, correlation graphs linking violations to personal vendettas, presentation materials that could convince a jury of blind accountants. "Door-to-door campaign launches Wednesday," Sarah declared, spreading neighborhood maps like a general planning D-Day. "Coffee diplomacy with fence-sitters, evidence packets for everyone, anonymous confession booth for additional Brenda horror stories." Building our coalition required surgical precision. Some neighbors trembled at Brenda's retaliation threats, others worried about property values plummeting, and a few actually believed her community standards propaganda. We needed hearts, minds, and votes, preferably all three. Our media blitz launched Wednesday when our evidence bombshell landed on the newspaper's desk. The investigative reporter's eyes went wide as dinner plates examining our financial smoking guns and witness testimonies that read like suburban crime fiction. "Front page goldmine," she breathed, already mentally drafting her Pulitzer acceptance speech. "HOA corruption sells papers faster than celebrity divorce scandals." County officials circled like vultures after reviewing our documentation. Attorney's office opened formal inquiries, building inspectors scheduled property assessments, and state HOA oversight boards started sniffing around like bloodhounds at an evidence buffet. But Princess Brenda wasn't hibernating during our revolution planning. Her counterintelligence operations rivaled CIA incompetence, attempting to identify coalition members through security footage analysis while spreading rumors about my dangerous veteran instability to anyone gullible enough to listen. The woman's desperation was becoming aromatic. You could smell her panic mixing with that nuclear-grade perfume, creating an olfactory warning system that alerted sensible people to maintain hazmat-level distances. Wednesday's breakthrough. Community center reservation confirmed. Main hall booked for our special removal tribunal, complete with professional sound systems, legal newspaper notices, and certified mail delivery to every homeowner. Everything legitimate, everything bulletproof, everything designed to give Brenda zero wiggle room. Evidence packet assembly became a neighborhood industrial operation. 147 copies of our prosecution masterpiece, professionally printed and bound, each containing enough proof to convict Brenda in any legitimate court. The intoxicating smell of fresh copies mixed with the approaching scent of justice. Thursday's coalition count hit 89 confirmed removal votes, 15 more than victory required. Frank's contractor network had mobilized the blue-collar army, Sarah's teacher connections activated the parent militia, and Dr. Winters' legal reputation attracted anyone who valued actual justice over suburban fascism. Our secret weapon was Mrs. Aria's elderly intelligence network. Senior citizens see everything, remember everything, and communicate through channels that make NSA surveillance look amateur. Her whispered garden fence conversations built support faster than viral TikTok videos. Friday brought professional reinforcements. Robert's Rules consultants ensuring procedural perfection, audio-video equipment for official documentation, and neutral ballot counters preventing any rigging accusations. Everything transparent, everything legitimate, everything designed to eliminate Brenda's appeal options. Community healing had already begun organically. Support groups formed for homeowners suffering Brenda-induced PTSD. Shared meals brought neighbors together after years of fear-imposed isolation, and people openly discussed positive improvements for the post-apocalyptic Brenda era. Saturday evening found me in our command center, surrounded by evidence of systematic corruption and ironclad proof of our righteous cause. The basement hummed with quiet satisfaction as we finalized preparations for tomorrow's suburban Nuremberg trials. Looking at our coalition strength, our devastating evidence, and our unshakable determination, one truth crystallized like morning frost. Brenda Culverson's 6-year reign of household terrorism was about to meet its spectacular, public, absolutely humiliating Waterloo. The revolution was locked, loaded, and ready for prime time. Time to execute our perfectly orchestrated suburban coup d'etat. Monday morning brought Brenda's nuclear meltdown, a restraining order filed against me for threatening behavior and intimidation. The woman who'd spent months terrorizing my trash can was now claiming I was the dangerous one. The court document read like paranoid fiction written by a suburban dictator. Subject exhibits erratic behavior consistent with mental instability. Poses clear and present danger to community safety. Veteran status indicates potential for violence. She'd weaponized my military service like it was some kind of character assassination. Beautiful irony, filing false restraining orders is a felony. Princess Brenda had just handed me another criminal charge for her growing legal banquet. Tuesday escalated to full psychological warfare when Brenda scheduled a competing community loyalty meeting for our exact removal vote night. Her desperate flyer promised property tax rebates from reserve funds, money that didn't exist, stolen from accounts she'd already pillaged. The desperation was becoming aromatic. You could smell her panic 3 blocks away, mixing with that industrial-strength perfume to create an olfactory warning system that alerted sensible people to maintain hazmat distances. Wednesday brought the sabotage blitz. I woke to find my lawn decorated with bleach patterns spelling traitor in dying grass. The sharp chemical burn filled my nostrils as I surveyed the damage, but honestly, I was impressed by her commitment to petty terrorism. Frank's work truck tires, slashed, Sarah's mailbox, stuffed with dog waste, Mrs. Aria's prize roses, decapitated with surgical precision. Brenda's reign of terror had escalated to actual felonies, but she'd made one crucial mistake. Everything was caught on camera. My postal paranoia had paid dividends. Professional surveillance system installed after harassment began, and Wednesday night's footage was pure prosecution gold. Pink-robed Godzilla herself creeping across my lawn at 2 a.m. with bleach bottles like some deranged garden terrorist. Thursday's plot twist deserved Hollywood recognition. Brenda appeared at my door with a briefcase full of actual cash, offering $5,000 to drop this destructive vendetta and restore community harmony. The woman was literally attempting bribery in broad daylight while I wore a wire. "Think of your neighbors, Marcus," she pleaded, voice cracking like cheap veneer under pressure. "This lawsuit nonsense hurts property values. Take the money, withdraw complaints, and we can all move forward peacefully. $5,000 to abandon justice and let her continue robbing everyone else. The audacity could power a small nuclear reactor." "Are you seriously trying to buy me off?" I asked, ensuring my hidden recorder captured every incriminating syllable. "I'm offering reasonable settlement to avoid unnecessary legal expenses for all parties involved. Translation: please take this bribe before federal prison becomes my forwarding address." Friday brought media attention that complicated Brenda's existence significantly. Local TV news exploded after the newspaper's investigation went viral. HOA president accused of embezzlement dominated evening broadcasts, complete with Castle Culverson footage and traumatized neighbor interviews. Brenda's on-camera response was comedy platinum. "Vicious lies spread by a disgruntled resident with obvious mental health issues," she declared, standing before her over-leveraged mansion like discount royalty. "I've served this community faithfully for 6 years. This coordinated attack is clearly motivated by personal revenge. Personal revenge. The woman who declared jihad on my garbage was accusing me of vindictiveness. Media coverage triggered an avalanche effect. Property management companies advised clients to avoid Willowbrook Gardens. 3 for-sale signs sprouted from Brenda supporters who preferred fleeing to facing accountability. Real estate agents reported buyer concerns about HOA instability. Saturday brought Brenda's final desperate gambit, threatening to sue the HOA itself for $50,000 in defamation damages caused by our malicious conspiracy. She demanded written apologies and financial compensation from every coalition member. The woman was drowning while trying to drag everyone underwater with her. But here's what made this threat particularly stupid. She was a public official dealing with community welfare issues. Courts generally tell public figures to develop thicker skin when citizens criticize their performance, especially when that criticism involves documented criminal behavior. Sunday evening's revelation was the disaster cherry. Neighbors had photographed Brenda shredding documents all week. Mountains of paper disappearing into industrial shredders, evidence destruction happening real-time while investigations pending. Obstruction of justice charges would complement her embezzlement, fraud, bribery, and false reporting convictions beautifully. As Sunday's sunset painted Castle Culverson in apocalyptic orange light, I realized something beautiful. Brenda had spent the week systematically destroying any remaining sympathy for her cause. Every desperate move backfired spectacularly, converting potential supporters into active enemies. The woman who'd declared war over trash placement had escalated to felony crimes, bribery attempts, and evidence destruction. Tomorrow's vote wouldn't be close. It would be a landslide of biblical proportions. Brenda's scorched earth campaign had incinerated her own kingdom while we watched from ringside seats, eating popcorn and documenting every self-destructive moment for posterity. Justice was about to be served colder than yesterday's garbage. Monday brought Brenda's legal desperation, an emergency injunction to cancel our meeting claiming procedural violations that existed only in her rapidly deteriorating grip on reality. Her bargain basement lawyer filed papers arguing homeowner votes required enhanced constitutional protections. Constitutional protections. For someone who treated the Bill of Rights like toilet paper while embezzling community funds. The injunction read like fever dreams translated into legalese. Defendant Association failed to provide adequate due process for accused board member. Due process. The woman who'd terrorized neighbors over trash placement was suddenly concerned about fair treatment. Tuesday exploded into full propaganda warfare when anonymous flyers carpet-bombed the neighborhood. Marcus Hawthorne, dangerous veteran targeting innocent families, screamed from gas station photocopies featuring my military headshot and home address like some suburban most wanted poster. Beautiful irony? The flyers violated county political material ordinances. Princess Brenda had accidentally committed more crimes while trying to frame me as the dangerous one. But her masterstroke was hiring private security for community safety. 2 rent-a-cops who looked like they'd been recruited from unemployment lines and outfitted at a costume shop, standing guard over the community center like discount mall ninjas protecting a food court. Frank confronted them in the parking lot, his contractor instincts immediately spotting amateur hour. "You boys got permits for this security theater?" The guard shuffled nervously, probably realizing they'd been hired for a job screaming lawsuit magnet. Wednesday brought digital warfare, fake Facebook groups spawning overnight like mushrooms after rain, concerned Willowbrook residents, and protect community values populated by obviously bot accounts spreading disinformation about our radical conspiracy. Sarah's teacher training demolished the charade instantly. "These profiles are kindergarten-level fake," she laughed, showing identical posting patterns and grammar mistakes. Same writing style, coordinated timing, stock photo avatars. Brenda's running psychological operations that would embarrass a middle school election. Thursday's comedy masterpiece. Brenda contacted coalition members' employers, attempting to get us fired for harassing elected officials. She actually called Frank's construction company, claiming he used work time for political terrorism activities. Frank's boss delivered poetry. "Lady, if you've got issues with my employee, discuss them with our lawyer. And just for clarity, harassing people's employers is illegal in this state. Have a blessed day." The woman was systematically nuking every relationship while dousing herself in gasoline. Friday brought our digital victory when Mrs. Aria's computer science grandson traced the fake social media campaign to Brenda's home internet. The technical evidence was prosecution grade. IP logs, timestamp correlations, device fingerprints, proving every bot account originated from Castle Culverson. "One-woman disinformation operation run from her living room," the kid explained, displaying forensics that would make FBI cybercrime units weep with admiration. "She's been catfishing the entire neighborhood while committing digital harassment felonies." Saturday delivered Brenda's final desperate gambit, promising shocking evidence that would expose the real conspiracy and vindicate years of faithful service. Her dramatic announcement teased Monday revelations that would change everything. The buildup felt like trailers for the world's worst mystery movie. What earth-shattering bombshell could possibly save her now? Secret recordings, hidden documents, Bigfoot sightings? Sunday's reality check arrived during final security preparations. Our professional team, licensed, insured, competent, made Brenda's discount guards look like children playing dress-up. The contrast was beautiful. Real credentials versus costume shop badges, actual experience versus unemployment line recruitment. Sunday evening's final war council in Dr. Winter's basement crackled with electric anticipation. Our coalition had reached 94 confirmed removal votes, 20 beyond victory requirements. The evidence portfolio had achieved prosecutorial thickness, financial fraud documentation, witness testimonies, bribery recordings, property destruction videos, digital harassment forensics. Enough ammunition to convict Brenda in any legitimate court, plus several illegitimate ones. But the most satisfying part? We'd maintained complete moral superiority throughout her scorched earth campaign. No illegal retaliation, no criminal behavior, no desperate measures. Just methodical evidence gathering and community organizing that would make civics teachers weep tears of patriotic joy. The basement smelled like victory mixed with fresh coffee as we reviewed tomorrow's choreography. Every detail planned, every contingency covered, every legal requirement satisfied. Dr. Winters raised her coffee mug in a toast. To justice, accountability, and the end of suburban tyranny. Frank clinked his cup against hers. To never having to deal with trash and terrorism again. Sarah smiled with teacher satisfaction. To showing kids that standing up to bullies actually works. As Monday dawn approached, one truth crystallized like morning frost on my perfectly legal trash can. Brenda Culverson's 6-year reign of neighborhood terrorism was about to end in the most public, humiliating, absolutely devastating finale imaginable. The final countdown had begun, and our pink-robed dictator was completely out of ammunition, allies, and time. Tomorrow would be Judgment Day, and we were the jury she'd spent months giving every reason to convict. Monday evening, 7 p.m. sharp, Willowbrook Community Center buzzed with electric tension as 134 homeowners packed the main hall like they were attending the Super Bowl of suburban justice. Record attendance for what promised to be the most spectacular political execution in HOA history. The air crackled with anticipation, mixing nervous energy with the smell of fresh coffee and righteous indignation. Folding chairs arranged in perfect rows faced the front table where Brenda would make her final stand against an army of neighbors she'd systematically terrorized. Local news crews positioned cameras like they were covering a presidential debate. Channel 7's investigative reporter had front row seats, notepad ready to document the downfall of suburban tyranny. Even the county attorney sent a representative, officially observing what promised to be either justice or the greatest train wreck in municipal history. Brenda arrived fashionably late at 7:15, strutting through the main entrance like she owned the building instead of having embezzled funds from its maintenance budget. 3-piece power suit, briefcase thick as a phone book, and enough confidence to power a small nuclear reactor. Her discount security guards flanked the entrance like bargain basement Secret Service, while our professional team maintained respectful distance and documented everything for legal purposes. "Ladies and gentlemen," Dr. Winters announced from the podium, her courtroom voice carrying absolute authority. "We're here tonight to address serious allegations of financial misconduct and abuse of power by our current HOA president," Brenda interrupted before the gavel stopped echoing. "I demand the rights to present my defense before any kangaroo court proceedings begin. This entire meeting is illegally constituted, and I have evidence that will expose the real conspiracy destroying our community." The crowd murmured like Romans waiting for gladiator combat. Mrs. Aria whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. "What conspiracy? You kicked over his trash can." Frank's voice boomed from the back. "Lady, we just want to throw away our garbage in peace." But Brenda was committed to her theatrical finale. She opened her briefcase with dramatic flourish, pulling out manila folders like a magician revealing the ultimate trick. "I have here irrefutable proof that Marcus Hawthorne was planted in our community by Pinnacle Property Management, a competing HOA management company seeking to destroy our independence and steal our contract." The silence was deafening. You could hear a pin drop, a baby sneeze, or Brenda's credibility hitting rock bottom. "My evidence shows a 6-month investigation revealing coordination between Hawthorne and outside agitators designed to destabilize our community governance through manufactured outrage and financial sabotage." She held up her smoking gun, printed Google search records showing I'd once researched HOA management companies. The crowd's reaction was immediate and beautiful. Nervous laughter rippled through the audience, growing into full-blown incredulous chuckling as people realized Brenda's shocking evidence was that I'd used Google like a normal human being. Dr. Winters stepped to the microphone with prosecutorial precision. Mrs. Culverson, are you seriously claiming that researching HOA services constitutes conspiracy? The pattern is clear to anyone with investigative training, Brenda declared, her voice rising with desperation. Planted resident, coordinated complaints, systematic undermining of established leadership, classic corporate espionage tactics. The crowd's laughter turned to outright disbelief. Sarah stood up from her seat. Brenda, he was trying to throw away his coffee grounds. You literally kicked over his trash can every Tuesday. But our turn had arrived. Dr. Winters began our methodical evidence presentation with surgeon-like precision, each financial document destroying another piece of Brenda's defense. Embezzled funds, nepotism contracts, phantom invoices, 20 minutes of devastating proof that would make federal prosecutors salivate. Frank presented photo evidence of property destruction and harassment. Sarah displayed witness testimonies from traumatized neighbors. I played audio recordings of bribery attempts that made the audience gasp audibly. The voting was anticlimactic after such overwhelming evidence. Secret ballots to prevent retaliation counted by neutral third parties, results announced with mathematical certainty, 127 votes for removal, 7 against. The applause was thunderous, a standing ovation that shook the community center's windows and probably registered on local seismographs. Justice delivered with overwhelming community support. Brenda's exit was legendary. She stormed toward the door, briefcase papers scattering like evidence confetti, shouting threats about lawsuits and appeals that everyone knew were empty bluster. But she stopped at the threshold for her final mic drop moment. You'll all regret this when property values crash and this community descends into chaos without proper leadership. My response was immediate and perfect. Brenda, we just wanted to throw away our trash without getting assaulted by someone in a pink bathrobe. If that's chaos, we'll take it. The crowd erupted in laughter and applause that followed Brenda into the parking lot like a victory parade soundtrack. Channel 7's reporter approached for the inevitable interview. How does it feel to be vindicated after months of harassment? This was never about vindication, I replied, looking directly into the camera. It was about basic fairness and holding people accountable when they abuse power. The clip went viral within hours, #TrashCanJustice trending locally, then nationally, as people shared the absurd story of an HOA president brought down by garbage can tyranny. The immediate aftermath felt like Christmas morning crashed into election night victory celebrations. Neighbors who hadn't spoken in years were hugging in the parking lot, sharing Brenda horror stories while celebrating collective liberation from pink-robed tyranny. Dr. Winters was unanimously elected interim president before we finished counting ballots. Frank accepted treasurer duties with blue-collar wisdom. Someone's got to watch the money. Might as well be someone who knows what honest work actually costs. Sarah became secretary, promising teacher-level organization for HOA records. I declined all nominations with Postal Service directness. I just wanted to throw away coffee grounds without getting assaulted by a deranged flamingo in a bathrobe. Mission accomplished. Financial recovery began immediately. Emergency assessment of $85 per household, exactly 1 month's regular dues, to recover Brenda's stolen funds. Professional management company hired within days. All records moved to public online portal where every homeowner could track spending in real time. The real healing started with our Liberation Barbecue 2 weeks later. Mrs. Aria's grandson provided speakers while Frank grilled enough burgers to feed a small army. Charcoal smoke mixed with laughter as neighbors shared stories they'd been too terrified to tell during Brenda's dictatorship. Sarah's kids drew hopscotch masterpieces without fear of violation notices. Frank's work truck sat proudly in his driveway, no longer a harassment target. Mrs. Aria's wind chimes sang afternoon melodies, their gentle music no longer classified as acoustically disruptive terrorism. Brenda vanished within 30 days like a bad fever dream you barely remember. She left only an anonymous note under Mrs. Aria's door. Sorry about the garden gnome harassment, they really are lovely. Even psychotic dictators apparently have moments of clarity. Legal consequences followed predictably. Brenda pleaded guilty to embezzlement, receiving probation and full restitution. Her husband's company returned all overcharges plus penalties. The state passed the HOA Accountability Act within months, requiring financial transparency statewide. Our recovered funds created something beautiful, the Willowbrook Scholarship for college-bound seniors demonstrating courage against bullies. $2,000 annually for students advocating community justice. The first recipient was Sarah's student who'd written a powerful essay about standing up to petty tyrants. Property values jumped 8% within 6 months, driven by what agents called positive community spirit. Lack of HOA drama became an actual selling point. No psychotic board members included in purchase price. New bylaws included mandatory transparency, term limits, and a homeowner bill of rights that would make the founding fathers weep patriotic tears. Never again would one person wield unchecked power over trash placement or wind chime acoustics. The annual Trash Can Day celebration started as a joke but became beloved tradition. Every Tuesday closest to the anniversary, residents place containers with exaggerated precision, while Mrs. Aria's grandson plays Pomp and Circumstance from Bluetooth speakers. I serve as honorary Grand Marshal, leading ridiculous garbage parades around the neighborhood. Proceeds benefit the local food bank because suburban justice should help feed hungry people. 6 months later, I still place my trash can every Tuesday at 6 p.m. sharp, exactly where ordinances specify. But instead of waiting for assault by pink-robed maniacs, I wait for Mrs. Aria's grandson to help roll it back after collection. Community spirit replacing community terrorism? The transformation was magical. Neighbors actually talked, kids played without citation fears, and the only drama involved whose turn to organize monthly potlucks. Willowbrook Gardens had become an actual community instead of a suburban concentration camp. But here's the beautiful kicker. 3 months after Brenda's exile, I received a package with no return address. Inside, a small trash can ornament with a note. For the man who taught us that sometimes the smallest battles win the biggest wars. A grateful neighbor. I keep it on my kitchen windowsill right where I used to watch Princess Pink Robe commit her weekly acts of garbage terrorism. What's your worst HOA horror story? Drop it in the comments because I'm making this a series. Apparently suburban dictators breed faster than rabbits. Hit that subscribe button for Karen stories, because next week I'm revealing how my neighbor tried stealing my parking spot and learned that messing with a postal worker's routine is like poking a hibernating grizzly with a cocktail stick. Remember, HOA boards work for you. Know your rights, document everything, and never let anyone convince you that standing up for basic decency makes you the problem. If you loved watching Brenda get served colder than last week's garbage, wait until you see what happens when someone declares war on my mailbox delivery schedule.